It was the summer of 1986, and 16-year-old Gary Kelly was growing increasingly afraid. A man, tall, broad, and disturbingly fixated, was following him, waiting outside his school, watching him swim, asking to touch his muscles. The locals called him Aki, and his name alone sparked unease across the Wirral. On June 15th, Gary ran, desperate to escape the towering figure yet again. But at the edge of New Brighton's rail terminal, there was nowhere left to run. Moments later, Gary would be dead, electrocuted by the third rail, and the man who had stalked him stood watching from the platform. Was it a tragic accident, or something far darker? Welcome to Crime Pulse. If you're new here, smash that subscribe button and join our community unraveling the UK's most chilling criminal tales. Like, share, and hit the bell so you don't miss a single story. Now, hold tight. We're diving into the eerie legend of Purple Aki, Britain's most feared urban legend. Imagine a name that sends chills down your spine, whispered in schoolyards and gyms across northwest England. That name, Purple Aki. But who is the man behind the myth? Born on July 15th, 1961, in North Manchester, Akinwale Arobieke started life with the odds stacked against him. Of Nigerian descent through his mother, his father's identity remains a mystery. As an infant, he was placed in care, growing up in a children's home in Llandudno, Wales. As an adult, he scraped by with odd jobs, tunnel cleaner, council messenger, living a quiet, unremarkable life. But beneath this ordinary exterior, something extraordinary was brewing. By the 1980s, a towering 6'5" bodybuilder emerged, and his bizarre obsession would make him infamous. Aki became fixated on muscles, not his own, but those of young men and teens in Merseyside and Greater Manchester. He'd approach them out of nowhere, striking up conversations about weightlifting before asking the question that made skin crawl. Can I feel your muscles? Armed with a tape measure, he'd size up biceps and thighs or demand on-the-spot squats. His persistence was relentless, following his targets for days, lurking outside schools and gyms, refusing to take no for an answer. To those he approached, Aki wasn't just intimidating, he was terrifying. Word of this muscle feeler spread like wildfire. Teenagers swapped wild stories, each more chilling than the last. Parents half joked, "Stay inside after dark, or Purple Aki will get you." Rumors spiraled. Some said his father was a high court judge. Others tied him to underworld gangs. The truth? Nobody knew. But the name Purple Aki became a boogeyman, a larger-than-life figure etched into the folklore of northwest England. What drove this man to such a strange obsession? And how far would it take him? Stick around, because this story is about to take a dark turn, one that ends in tragedy. When the internet exploded, so did Purple Aki's infamy. Fact and fiction collided as local news reports of his arrests mixed with wild rumors on message boards and social media. People shared chilling stories of encounters at gyms and sports fields, painting Aki as a larger-than-life menace. One bizarre ritual stood out, Aki convincing young men to perform inverted piggyback squats, crouching low while he draped himself over their backs, squeezing their quads and calves. These unwanted tests left victims rattled, their unease fueling his myth. Online, Aki became a twisted pop culture icon. Crude jokes, songs, and graffiti spread his name far beyond Manchester. At the 2008 Glastonbury Festival, a banner waved high with his mugshot plastered on it. By 2013, another festival flag crowned him the gym pest from the Northwest. But behind the memes and dark humor lurked a grim reality. Purple Aki wasn't just a quirky urban legend, he was a figure tied to a trail of harassment, fear, and legal battles that would soon take a deadly turn. In 1986, the Purple Aki legend took a devastating turn. Gary Kelly, a 16-year-old from Liverpool, found himself hunted by a towering, muscle-obsessed figure. This wasn't a one-time encounter. Aki stalked Gary, showing up outside his school and neighborhood, demanding to feel his muscles or watch him flex. What started as strange quickly became terrifying. Gary's fear grew as Aki's shadow loomed, relentless and inescapable. On June 15th, 1986, Gary and his friends were at an outdoor pool in New Brighton, a seaside town on the Wirral Peninsula, hoping for a carefree day. But Aki was there, watching from a distance. Panic seized Gary. He bolted from the pool, sprinting to New Brighton's railway station. a dead-end terminus with no trains in sight. Desperate, he hid inside an idle carriage, heart pounding. But Aki followed, scanning the platform. In a final bid to escape, Gary leapt onto the tracks below and stumbled onto the electrified third rail. A 750-volt shock surged through him. Despite being rushed to the hospital, Gary, a bright young man and soon-to-be father, was pronounced dead on arrival. The community reeled. Purple Aki was no longer a quirky boogeyman. He was linked to a teenager's death. Witnesses pointed to Aki's pursuit as the reason Gary ran. This tragedy stripped away the myth, revealing a dark reality that demanded justice. The fallout was immediate, and Aki's actions were about to face the full force of the law. The death of Gary Kelly in 1986 turned Purple Aki from a local legend into a public enemy. Authorities couldn't ignore his role in the tragedy. Charged with manslaughter, Aki faced a trial that gripped northwest England. The public watched, hoping the boogeyman would finally be locked away. In 1987, the court delivered its verdict, guilty. The judge ruled that Aki's menacing pursuit, stalking Gary to that fateful train platform, caused the teen's deadly accident. No physical contact was needed. His presence was deemed unlawful harm. At just 26, Aki was sentenced to 30 months in prison. But the story didn't end there. Aki's lawyers fought back, appealing the conviction. Their argument: standing on a platform and staring, no matter how intimidating, wasn't a crime. There was no proof Aki touched or directly threatened Gary. In 1988, 3 appellate judges agreed. The manslaughter charge was overturned, and after roughly a year behind bars, Aki walked free, his record cleared of Gary's death. Then came a bombshell. Aki claimed the prosecution was fueled by racial prejudice. In 1989, he won his case, securing a reported £35,000 in compensation for what he called a biased witch hunt. Officially, Aki was no longer legally tied to Gary's death, but the shadow of that tragedy lingered. Aki's freedom came at a cost, and his actions were about to draw even more scrutiny from a wary public and determined police. By the mid-1990s, Purple Aki's obsession had spiraled out of control, and even professional athletes weren't safe. In 1997, tabloids screamed warnings as rugby league clubs in northwest England sounded the alarm. Aki was no longer just haunting schoolyards, he was targeting pros. Sneaking into stadiums or ambushing players after matches, he wielded unnerving personal details, from home addresses to phone numbers. Warrington Wolves chairman John Smith didn't mince words, branding Aki a menace and warning someone's going to get hurt. Aki's tactics were chillingly calculated, allegedly using press passes or flashy rental cars to get close to his targets. Players felt hunted, their safety compromised. Police knew Aki's reputation all too well, but stopping him was a nightmare. His actions teetered on the edge of criminality, leaving victims too scared or embarrassed to speak out. The line between creepy and illegal was razor thin, and Aki exploited it masterfully. The pressure was mounting, and authorities were ready to take drastic measures to stop him. By the late 1990s, Purple Aki's reign of fear had pushed authorities to their limit. Dozens of young men came forward, their stories painting a chilling picture of relentless harassment. In November 2001, Aki faced justice at last, hit with a staggering 50 counts of indecent assault and harassment against 14 teenage boys from 1995 to 2000. The courtroom buzzed as prosecutors laid bare his obsessive behavior. Aki pleaded not guilty, his defense claiming he was just a passionate bodybuilding fan who didn't grasp personal boundaries. The jury wasn't convinced of indecent intent, and Aki walked free on those charges, dodging a major bullet. But the trial revealed a darker incident. Kelly Mullaney, a teenager, knew Aki as a local myth. Whispers of a giant living in the woods. That myth became reality when Aki rolled up in a silver Ford Granada, his massive frame freezing her and her friends in place. Days later, outside a shop, Kelly caught Aki trying to touch her brother's arms. She confronted him, threatening to call the police. Within 30 minutes, Aki was at her door, banging and yelling. When she refused to open it, he shoved what looked like a gun through the letterbox, screaming, "You're dead! You're dead!" Terrified, Kelly called the cops. Police swarmed, arresting Aki. No gun was found, but the threat was enough. In 2001, he was convicted of making threats to kill and sentenced to 2.5 years in prison. Kelly, haunted by fear, fled to another part of the country, still feeling unsafe years later. Aki's release in 2003 didn't bring peace. Merseyside police launched a massive crackdown, interviewing over 120 people to build a new case. The evidence was overwhelming. In December 2003, at Preston Crown Court, Aki pleaded guilty to 15 counts of harassment. The judge slammed him with a 6-year sentence, the harshest yet, hoping to end his terror over northwest England. The saga was far from over, as new measures were about to tighten the noose around Aki's actions. In October 2006, Purple Aki walked free after serving half of his 6-year sentence, but authorities weren't done with him. Convinced prison alone couldn't stop his chilling fixation, Merseyside police secured a groundbreaking Sexual Offences Prevention Order, SOPO, in late 2006. Despite no sexual offence convictions, the court banned Aki from touching or measuring muscles without consent, demanding squats in public, approaching anyone under 18, or lurking near schools, gyms, or sports clubs. He was even barred from rugby stronghold towns like St Helens, Warrington, and Wigan without police permission. This was a legal cage designed to end his terror. Aki fought back. In February 2007, he appealed at Liverpool Crown Court, arguing the SOPO was overkill for his harmless muscle obsession. The judges agreed, finding no proof of serious harm, and overturned the order. For a moment, Aki was free to roam, until a legal technicality kept a second order in place, and police pushed to reinstate restrictions. Their fears were spot on. Just months later, on May 25, 2007, Aki approached a man in a Preston shopping centre, commenting on his biceps before touching him without consent. Busted for breaching the SOPO, he landed a 15-month sentence in 2008, with the muscle-touching ban made permanent. The courtroom drama escalated. In July 2008, Aki, representing himself, tried again to lift the ban. His erratic behaviour, questioning the judge, storming out with a plastic bag, then slinking back, stunned reporters. Yet, in a rare moment, he apologized to his victims. Police revealed a bombshell. Aki carried a notebook, a stalker's playbook, packed with names, phone numbers, and family details of young men. This wasn't innocent fandom, it was calculated predation. The judge upheld the ban, keeping Aki locked up. But the cycle continued. Released in late 2008, Aki struck again, approaching a 17-year-old in Birkenhead to feel his biceps, earning an 18-month sentence in 2009. By April 2010, he was back in court at Mold Crown Court, North Wales, facing new harassment charges. A 16-year-old testified Aki touched his calf and thigh muscles without consent. Despite Aki's claims of false accusations, eyewitnesses sealed his fate. In June 2010, the judge branded him a predator and slammed him with a 2.5-year sentence for breaching the SOPO. Aki's life became a revolving door of prison and release, his obsession unstoppable. The public's fear and fascination with Aki only grew, fueled by rumors that would soon take a wild turn. In 2010, Purple Aki sat behind bars, still crying foul, claiming he was a victim of persecution. His infamy fueled chaos outside. Pranksters and panicked locals reported fake sightings, and by June 2012, social media erupted with rumors of his death in custody. Merseyside police had to step in, confirming Aki was very much alive, still serving his sentence. That summer, after completing 2 years of a 30-month term, Aki walked free. But freedom came with a catch. Having spent more time in prison than out in the new millennium, he was a marked man, watched closely by police and feared by the public. Aki's legend grew with every headline, but his obsession burned as fiercely as ever. Inevitably, trouble followed. In 2013, Greater Manchester Police arrested him again, accusing him of breaching his SOPO by harassing young men in St Peter's Square, Bolton, and Trafford. This time, Aki fought back hard, insisting the charges were exaggerated or outright fabricated, a police setup to trap him. In August 2013, at Manchester Crown Court, the trial took a shocking turn. The jury found him not guilty on all counts, swayed either by weak evidence or Aki's claims of a witch hunt. Walking out a free man, he blasted the authorities, pointing to a case where police solicited a complaint by visiting a potential victim's home unprompted. To Aki, this was proof of a vendetta. His victory sent shockwaves, raising questions about justice and persecution as his saga took another twist. In early 2014, Purple Aki turned the tables, accusing the police of targeting him unjustly. Greater Manchester Police's Professional Standards Unit dug into his claims and uncovered shocking misconduct. A senior detective, off-duty at a bodybuilding event, took a personal vendetta against Aki, calling an emergency line to report a famous figure, nicknamed Purple Aki. The problem? Aki wasn't barred from the event, and he's never been convicted of crimes involving children. His victims were teens or adults. The detective's inflammatory call triggered Aki's immediate arrest, painting him as a monster without cause. The investigation didn't stop there. 2 senior officers were slapped with formal warnings for mishandling Aki's earlier complaints against this detective. Armed with this evidence, Aki struck back in 2014, launching lawsuits against Merseyside and Greater Manchester Police. He argued he'd been unfairly hounded, pointing to nearly 2 years spent in custody on charges that were later dropped or acquitted. The lawsuit's outcomes stayed under wraps, but Aki's cries of persecution rang louder than ever. His battle with the law was far from over, as a new incident would soon reignite the controversy. By 2013, Purple Aki's every move was under scrutiny. His SOPO, a tight leash that could snap him back to prison with one misstep. That misstep came on October 11th, 2013, aboard an Arriva Trains Wales service from Manchester to Colwyn Bay. A university student reported a towering man, matching Aki's description, sitting beside him, probing about his workout routine, then asking to feel and measure his arm muscles. The student claimed Aki touched him without consent. In 2015, the case hit Chester's courts. Representing himself, Aki denied the charge, shouting that the police were exploiting his notorious Purple Aki nickname, calling it racist and a setup. The jury wasn't swayed, convicting him of breaching the SOPO, landing another blow to his freedom. But in May 2016, at 55 years old, Aki made a bold move at Manchester Crown Court. After a decade of SOPO breaches and years behind bars, he begged to lift the order, arguing his muscle obsession wasn't criminal or harmful, just misunderstood. He admitted his fixation on young men's physiques but swore it wasn't sexual. In a stunning upset, the judge agreed, lifting the SOPO. Aki walked out unshackled, vowing to change. "I'm done touching muscles. There's no need for that." For the first time in years, he was free from legal chains. His newfound freedom sparked a firestorm of attention as his legend took on a new life in the public eye. In September 2016, Purple Aki's legend exploded onto the national stage with a BBC free documentary, The Man Who Squeezes Muscles. Journalist Benjamin Zand dove into the myth versus reality, featuring interviews with those who'd crossed paths with Aki, and exploring how his name became a chilling warning to kids. Aki didn't appear on camera, and when he saw the film, he was furious. The documentary's repeated references to him as a big black man and its focus on his urban legend status felt like a public shaming. An accompanying BBC article even called out the racial undertones of his nickname. To Aki, it was an attack, ignoring his lack of sexual offense convictions. In October 2016, he fought back, filing a complaint with Merseyside Police, claiming the film incited racial hatred. The BBC defended their work, insisting it was a serious look at Aki's portrayal, not a personal assault. Since then, Aki has kept a lower profile, but his legend refuses to fade. In January 2019, a blurry Facebook photo went viral, showing a man resembling Aki allegedly squeezing a young man's arm at a Manchester tram stop. No charges followed, but the post reignited the myth, proving Purple Aki's grip on the public's imagination. His story, a blend of fear, fascination, and unanswered questions, continues to haunt northwest England.